The first time I saw my reflection after the accident, I understood why the nurses had removed all the mirrors from my hospital room. 16 years old, and half my face looked like melted candle wax. That's when Starlight became more than just my horse. He became my lifeline. My name is Daisy. And this isn't a story about scars. It's about betrayal, karma, and the kind of revenge that takes patience to perfect. He doesn't care what you look like, sweetie, Dad had said the first time I refused to leave my room after coming home. Horses don't judge. He was right about that much. While my friends stopped texting, and my brother Landon's girlfriend Jolie would flinch every time I entered a room, Starlight would press his velvet nose against my cheek, scarred side first, and exhale soft puffs of warm breath until I stopped crying. Night after night, I'd sneak out to the barn when the memories of the accident got too loud. The familiar crunch of hay under my boots, the sweet smell of grain, and Starlight's gentle nickering became my therapy. I'd wrap my arms around his sturdy neck, bury my face in his grey speckled mane, and let everything out. He'd stand perfectly still, occasionally turning his head to lip at my hair, as if to say, "I've got you." "You're the only one who sees me," I'd whisper to him. "Really sees me." Mum would get this pinched look whenever she caught me in the barn past midnight. "Daisy, honey, you can't keep hiding out here. We paid for those reconstructive surgeries for a reason." But I wasn't hiding. I was healing. That morning started like any other. I walked out to feed Starlight his breakfast, my boots leaving tracks in the early spring frost. The gate was open. The stall was empty. "Mum!" My scream brought both my parents running from the house. "Where is he?" "Oh my God!" Mum's hand flew to her mouth. "Brent, look at the fence!" Dad rushed to inspect the broken boards at the back of the paddock. Must have spooked at something in the night. Broke right through. I was already running, my heart threatening to burst. I searched the neighbouring fields until my legs gave out. Nothing. "We'll call around," Mum promised, rubbing my back as I sobbed on the kitchen floor. All the shelters, the police, everyone. Days passed, weeks. Every time I asked about search updates, they'd exchange these heavy looks. "Honey," Dad finally said one evening, "I think it's time to accept that he's gone. Horses can travel pretty far when they're scared. There's no hope now." I didn't believe him. Starlight wasn't just some spooked horse. He was my partner, my best friend. He wouldn't just run away. The nightmares came back full force. I'd wake up gasping, my face burning like it did that day in the car. Only now, there was no warm barn to run to, no steady heartbeat to press my ear against until the panic passed. 3 months later, I was mindlessly scrolling through Instagram when my thumb froze over a photo. My brother's new wife, Jolie, resplendent in white, stepping down from an elegant carriage. The horse in the harness had a distinctive grey speckled coat and a small star marking just off-centre on his forehead. My hands started shaking so badly I nearly dropped the phone. The caption read, "Couldn't believe we got a horse-drawn carriage for the wedding. Thanks to Timeless Equine for making our fairy tale complete. But it's Matthew's ever after." I zoomed in until the screen blurred. That gentle eye, the unique swirl of darker hair near his shoulder, the small scar above his left hoof from where he'd caught himself on a fence years ago. The room spun as puzzle pieces clicked into place. The broken fence boards that looked suspiciously clean-cut. My parents' sudden reluctance to keep searching, the way they'd avoided looking at me whenever I mentioned him. They hadn't lost him. They'd sold him to pay for my perfect brother's perfect wedding. I ran to the bathroom and threw up until there was nothing left but bitter bile and rage. Then I washed my face, dried my tears, and went back to my room. With steady hands, I started taking screenshots of every wedding photo that showed that horse. I created a new folder on my laptop and labelled it Receipts. They thought they could just erase him from my life. That I'd eventually get over it, find some other way to cope. They had no idea what they'd just set in motion. I closed my eyes and remembered all those nights in the barn, whispering my secrets into Starlight's mane. Now I had one more secret to keep, and this one would cost them everything. I spent 3 days analysing every pixel of those wedding photos. Each new discovery felt like another knife in my back. There was Starlight, decorated with white ribbons and flowers, looking exactly like he had the day I'd last seen him. Only now he was pulling my brother and his bride around like some fairy tale prop. Have you seen Landon and Jolie's wedding photos? Mom called one evening. Weren't they just magical? I gripped my phone so hard my knuckles went white. Yeah, Mum. Really magical. The carriage was such a surprise. Jolie's parents arranged it as a gift. Liar. Must have cost a fortune, I said carefully. A pause. Too long. Oh, I wouldn't know about that, sweetie. I opened my laptop and started digging. The carriage company, Timeless Equine Services, had a professional website. They specialised in high-end events and therapeutic riding programmes. Their Meet Our Horses page showed familiar grey ears poking out of a stable door, but no clear full photo. My hands trembled as I typed out an email. Dear Sir, Madam, I'm inquiring about one of your horses, a dapple grey gelding with a slightly off-centre star marking. I believe he was used in a wedding carriage service 3 months ago. Would you be able to confirm when this horse joined your programme? The reply came within hours. Yes, the gelding you're referring to is part of our herd. Acquired 6 months ago. Are you interested in booking our services? Stuart Crawford, owner. 6 months. Exactly when Starlight disappeared. I printed everything. The emails, the photos, the timestamps. In my bedroom closet, I found an old shoebox full of ribbons from horse shows Starlight and I had won. I added those too. Evidence. Proof. My phone buzzed. A text from Landon. Hey sis, dinner at Mom and Dad's tonight. They're showing the wedding video. I texted back. Can't. Working late. Come on, Dee. You've been avoiding family dinners for months. Mom's worried. I bet she is. Instead of responding, I drove to the barn, where I now took riding lessons. My instructor, Rhea, was cleaning tack when I walked in. You look like you've seen a ghost, she said. Something like that. I showed her the wedding photos. Her eyes widened. Wait, isn't that Starlight, my horse? The one my parents swore ran away. Holy shit! She put down the saddle soap. What are you going to do? I pulled out my phone and showed her the email from Stuart Crawford. I'm going to pay this man a visit. Want backup? I shook my head. I need to do this alone. That night, I lay in bed reading old text messages from when Starlight first disappeared. Me. Did anyone call the Wilson farm? He might have gone there. Mum. Of course, honey. We're trying everything. Me. What about putting up posters? Dad. We'll look into it tomorrow. Me. I found a horse search and rescue group that can help. Mum. Don't get your hopes up, sweetie. Sometimes these things just happen. Each message was another brick in their wall of lies. My phone lit up with a new text from Mum. Missed you at dinner, sweetheart. Landon and Jolie had such wonderful news to share. I didn't respond. Instead, I opened my calendar and booked a visit to Timeless Equine for the following week. The website said they offered tours to potential clients interested in their therapy programs. Perfect. I'd play the part of an interested customer. I'd see Starlight with my own eyes. And then I'd decide exactly how to make them pay for what they'd done. I walked to my dresser and opened the bottom drawer, pulling out an envelope I hadn't touched in years. Inside was a cheque for $650,000, the settlement from my accident that I'd never told my family about. They'd been so focused on Landon's startup dreams and Jolie's wedding plans that they never even asked how I'd managed to move out and support myself. They thought they knew everything about their fragile daughter. They thought they could make decisions about my life, my healing, my horse. They were wrong. I tucked the envelope into my purse next to the printed photos. In 1 week, I'd be face to face with Starlight again, and this time, no one would be able to take him away from me. My phone buzzed one last time. A text from Jolie. Missing you at family dinners. We have so many wedding photos to show you. I smiled and turned off my phone. Let them think I was still their quiet, compliant Daisy. Soon enough, they'd learn just how wrong they were about that too. Timeless Equine sprawled across 30 acres of pristine farmland. I parked my car next to a spotless white fence and took several deep breaths. A tall man in a navy blazer approached, his silver hair catching the morning light. Ms. Matthews. I'm Stuart Crawford. His handshake was firm, professional. You mentioned an interest in our therapy programs. Yes, I said, following him toward the barn. I've had some experience with therapeutic riding myself. He nodded, leading me past gleaming stalls. And what sparked your interest specifically in our facility? Before I could answer, a familiar nicker stopped me in my tracks. At the end of the aisle, a dappled grey head poked out over a stall door. My heart stopped. "Ah, that's our newest addition," Stuart said. But I was already moving. Starlight's ears pricked forward as I approached. He remembered. Oh God, he remembered. His soft muzzle pressed against my scarred cheek, just like he used to do, and everything inside me shattered. "You know this horse." Stuart's voice was quiet, observant. I pressed my face into Starlight's neck, breathing in his familiar scent. He was mine. Until my parents sold him to pay for my brother's wedding. Stuart's expression darkened. They told me he came from a family that could no longer afford his care. They told me he ran away. My voice cracked. I spent months searching, crying, begging them to keep looking. Meanwhile, they were negotiating his sale. "Sit down," Stuart said, pulling up 2 chairs near Starlight's stall. "Tell me everything." So I did. The accident that left me scarred. How Starlight helped me heal. The betrayal. The wedding photos. With each word, Stuart's face grew more grave. "I give you my word," he said when I finished. "This horse will never be sold again." "Thank you." I wiped my eyes. "But I want to propose something more." He raised an eyebrow. "I saw on your website that you're looking to expand your therapy programs," I said. "But you need someone to lead the effort." "That's right." I pulled out the settlement check and placed it on the chair between us. Stuart's eyes widened slightly. "I have experience, I have passion, and I have capital." My voice was steady now. "I want to buy into your business, build something meaningful here, something that could help other people like me." Stuart picked up the check, studied it. "This is a substantial sum. I received it after my accident. Never told my family about it." I smiled. They always underestimated me. He stood up, walked a few paces, thinking. Starlight nudged my shoulder gently. "Your parents," Stuart said finally. "They'll eventually find out you're involved here." "I'm counting on it." He turned back to face me. "This isn't just about revenge, is it?" "No," I said honestly. "It's about justice. It's about building something good from something terrible. And yes, maybe it's a little bit about showing them exactly who they underestimated." Stuart nodded slowly. "We'll need lawyers, contracts, a solid business plan." "I have all that ready." He smiled for the first time. "You've really thought this through." "I've had months to plan." "One condition," he said. "You work with our current program coordinator, Rhea. She knows this place inside and out." My heart leaped. "Rhea Norris? She's my riding instructor. She already knows everything." "Well then." Stuart extended his hand. "Let's build something." As we shook hands, Starlight whinnied softly, as if sealing the deal himself. "I'll have my lawyer draw up the paperwork," Stuart said. "But first, would you like to take him for a ride? He's been a bit listless lately. Now I understand why." Tears pricked my eyes. I'd love that. While Stuart went to get a saddle, I pressed my forehead against Starlight's. "I found you," I whispered. "And this time, no one's taking you away." My phone buzzed. Another text from Mum. "Honey, we need to talk about Landon's new business venture. Family meeting this weekend." I turned off my phone without responding. Let them have their family meetings and their secrets. I had work to do. Stuart returned with tack and a contract draft. "Ready to make this official?" I took one look at Starlight, then at the papers in Stuart's hand. Everything was falling into place exactly as I'd hoped. Better even. "More than ready," I said, and picked up the pen. My parents thought selling Starlight would silence me, break me. Instead, they'd given me exactly what I needed to build my own empire. And when they finally realised what I'd done, it would be too late to stop me. 6 months into our partnership, Timeless Equine's therapy program was thriving. I'd just finished a session with a group of veterans when Rhea rushed into the arena, her phone in hand. "Have you seen this?" She thrust the screen at me. A local business news headline blazed across it. "Luxury tech startup faces federal investigation. CEO Landon under fire." "What happened?" I asked, though I already had a feeling. "Your brother's company? They've been faking their user numbers. Investors are pulling out." Rhea's eyes were wide. "They're saying he could face charges." I kept grooming the therapy horse I was working with, maintaining my composure. "Interesting. That's all you have to say? Interesting. What goes around comes around, Rhea." A memory flashed. My 16th birthday. I'd won a regional riding championship, but nobody came to watch. They were all at Landon's startup pitch meeting. He's going to change the world, Mum had gushed later, not even glancing at my trophy. Our son, the next tech mogul. Ria's voice pulled me back. Your cousin Sarah called the office earlier. Said your parents have been trying to reach you. I bet they have. I checked my phone. 5 missed calls from Mum, 3 from Dad, and a dozen texts. Daisy! Stuart appeared in the doorway. A moment? In his office, he closed the door and sat behind his desk. I assume you've heard about your brother? Just now. There's more. He slid a paper across his desk. Your parents remortgaged their house 6 months ago to fund his company. I picked up the document. A public record of the mortgage filing. How did you get this? I have friends in real estate. They also took out a second loan last year. For the wedding, I finished. They sold my horse and still needed more money for their precious golden child's perfect day. Stuart leaned back. They're going to come to you for help. I know. Are you ready for that? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed again. Mom's text lit up the screen. Please call us, honey. It's important. I showed Stuart the message. Looks like I'd better get ready fast. That evening, I sat in my apartment above the barn, scrolling through news articles about Landon's company. Words like fraud and deception jumped out at me. His smiling face was plastered everywhere, now with disgraced CEO beneath it. My phone rang again. This time, it was my cousin Sarah. It's bad, Daisy, she said, without preamble. Uncle Brent and Aunt Melanie are desperate. They put everything into Landon's company. Everything. The house, their retirement, even Jolie's parents invested. They're all panicking. I walked to my window, watching Starlight graze in the moonlight below. Why are you telling me this? Because they're planning to ask you for money. They found out through the grapevine that you're part owner of some fancy horse facility. Of course they had. Probably through Ria's mother, who played bridge with Mom's friends. Thank you for the warning, I said. There's more, Sarah hesitated. Jolie's talking about leaving him. Says she didn't sign up for this kind of scandal. I almost laughed. Perfect Jolie, who'd worn my horse like an accessory at her wedding, was jumping ship at the first sign of trouble. A text from Mum lit up my phone. Hey, honey, we were wondering if you could meet us, privately. There it was. The moment I'd been waiting for. I texted back, Sure, Mum. When? Her response was immediate. Tomorrow? That little cafe in town? Perfect, I replied, then called Stuart. They want to meet, I said, when he answered. Tomorrow? Yes. Good. His voice was steady. Remember the plan. I ended the call and walked downstairs to Starlight's stall. He nickered softly as I approached. Remember when I used to tell you everything? I stroked his nose. All those nights after the accident, when I felt so lost, you were the only one who listened. He pressed his head against my chest. Well, tomorrow they're going to learn what it feels like to be desperate. I kissed his star marking. And this time, I'm the one holding all the cards. My phone buzzed one last time. A text from Landon. Hey, sis. I know we haven't talked much lately, but I could really use my little sister right now. I turned off my phone without responding and headed back upstairs. Tomorrow would be a long day, and I needed to be ready. Ready to face the family that had betrayed me, ready to show them exactly who I'd become. They thought they were coming to ask for help. They had no idea they were walking into a reckoning. The cafe door chimed as I walked in. Mum and Dad were already there, huddled in a corner booth. They looked smaller somehow, diminished. Mum's designer handbag was scuffed, Dad's shirt wrinkled. The sight almost made me feel sorry for them. Almost. Daisy, sweetheart. Mum stood to hug me. I let her, but kept my arms loose at my sides. You look different, more confident. Success does that, I said, sliding into the booth. Dad cleared his throat. We heard you're doing well. Some kind of horse therapy business. Co-owner of Timeless Equine Services? I watched their faces carefully. You might remember them. They provided the carriage for Landon's wedding. Mum's coffee cup clattered against its saucer. Dad suddenly became very interested in the menu. Honey, Mum reached for my hand. I pulled back. We've been going through some difficult times. I heard about Landon's company. It's just a misunderstanding, Dad jumped in. These things happen in business, but the lawyers, they're expensive, Mum finished. And with the house payments... I took a sip of water. The house you remortgaged to pay for the wedding? Or the second mortgage you took out for Landon's start-up? They exchanged panicked looks. How did you... I do my research, I cut Mum off. Just like I researched horse auction records from 6 months ago. The colour drained from their faces. Daisy, Dad started. We can explain. Save it! My voice was ice. How much do you need? Mum's eyes lit up with hope. 200,000 would help us stay afloat until Landon sorts this out. I see. I pulled out my phone and typed something. And you came to me because you're family, Mum said quickly. Because we've always been there for you. I couldn't help it. I laughed. The sound made them both flinch. Always been there for me? I leaned forward. Like when you sold my therapy horse without telling me? When you watched me cry for months searching for him and said nothing? We needed the money for your brother's wedding, Mum whispered. You were so attached to that animal, we knew you wouldn't understand. That animal? My voice rose slightly. That animal got me through the darkest period of my life, while you were busy planning Landon's perfect future. Dad reached across the table. Princess, please. Don't. I held up my hand. Here's what's going to happen. Tomorrow at 2 p.m, you'll come to Timeless Equine. Bring Landon. We'll discuss terms there. Terms? Mum's voice quavered. For the loan. I stood up. Oh, and Mum, that Hermes bag is a fake. The stitching's all wrong. I left them sitting there, shell-shocked. Outside, I texted Stuart. They took the bait. Tomorrow at 2. His response came quickly. Everything's ready. That night, I couldn't sleep. I went down to the barn, breathing in the familiar scents of hay and horses. Starlight dozed in his stall, one ear flicking toward me as I approached. Tomorrow's the day, boy, I whispered, stroking his neck. Tomorrow they learn what it feels like to need something so badly it hurts. My phone buzzed. A text from Landon. Mum said you're willing to help. I don't know what to say. I typed back. Come to Timeless Equine tomorrow at 2. We'll talk. The horse place? Why there? Because that's where I do business now. I could almost hear his confusion through the phone. Poor Landon. Always so focused on his own brilliance that he never noticed his little sister building an empire right under his nose. Another text, this time from Jolie. Daisy, I know we haven't been close, but please help them. For family's sake. Family's sake. The same family that had sold my best friend lied to my face and treated my trauma like an inconvenience. I turned off my phone and headed back to my apartment. Tomorrow would require all my strength, all my composure. Tomorrow they'd walk into my world thinking they were getting a lifeline. Instead, they'd get a lesson in consequences. I fell asleep, planning exactly how I'd arrange the meeting room, where Starlight would be visible through the window, how I'd time each revelation for maximum impact. They thought they were coming to beg for money from their damaged, quiet daughter. They had no idea they were walking into a carefully laid trap, months in the making. Let them sleep tonight, thinking there was hope. Tomorrow they'd learn exactly what it feels like to have everything you love pulled out from under you, and I'd be there to watch them fall. At 1:55 p.m, I watched through my office window as my family's car pulled into the parking lot. Mum smoothed her hair nervously. Dad adjusted his tie. Landon emerged from the back seat looking nothing like the confident CEO from his company photos. They're here, I said to Stuart, who stood beside my desk. Ready? I nodded, straightening my blazer. Is everything in place? Rhea has Starlight in the back paddock, just visible from the conference room. Perfect. The receptionist led them into our pristine conference room. Through the glass walls, I could see Mom's eyes widening at the expensive decor, the wall of awards, the sweeping view of the property. I let them wait 5 minutes. When I walked in, Mom jumped up. Honey, this place is beautiful. Please, sit. My voice was professional, detached. They sank into their chairs as Stuart entered behind me. This is my business partner, Stuart Crawford. I watched their faces carefully. Owner of Timeless Equine Services. Mom's hand flew to her throat. Dad's face went pale. Landon just looked confused. Shall we discuss terms? I opened a folder. Wait, Landon interrupted. Why is he here? This is a family matter. Because, I smiled, everything you see here, I own half of it. That's That's impossible, Mum stammered. How could you afford? The settlement. I pulled out a document. $650,000 from the accident you were too busy to discuss because you were planning Landon's future. You never told us about any settlement, Dad whispered. You never asked. I turned to the window. Oh, look who's coming up from the paddock. On cue, Rhea led Starlight into view. His dappled coat gleamed in the sunlight, that distinctive star marking clearly visible. Mum made a choking sound. Recognise him? I asked softly. You should. He was the main attraction at your son's wedding. Landon's head snapped up. What are you talking about? They never told you? I laughed. Mum and Dad sold my therapy horse to help pay for your wedding, then lied about it for months, watching me search for him, cry for him. We had no choice, Mum burst out. The wedding costs were spiralling, and Landon needed... Needed what? I slammed my hand on the table. A champagne fountain? A 10-piece band? Was it worth watching your daughter fall apart? Is this true? Landon looked at our parents. You sold her horse for my wedding? Dad couldn't meet his eyes. Mum started to cry. But that's not even the best part, I continued, pulling out more papers. Here's the bill of sale. Here's the receipt for the carriage service. And here, I dropped a stack of photos on the table, are all the pictures of my horse at your wedding while I was at home having panic attacks. Daisy, Dad pleaded, we were desperate. And now you're desperate again. I sat back. How does it feel? Stuart stepped forward. We could pursue legal action for animal theft, you know. The sale wasn't legal without Daisy's consent, given that she was the registered owner. Mum's makeup was running now. Please, we just need help. Like I needed help? I stood up. Like I needed my horse, my therapy, my family's support. The door burst open. Jolie stormed in, designer heels clicking. Sorry I'm late. Traffic was... She froze when she saw Starlight through the window. Perfect timing, I said. We were just discussing your wedding. Specifically the carriage service you claimed your parents gifted you. Jolie's face went red. I didn't know. Save it. I turned back to my family. You're not getting a cent from me. Not now. Not ever. But we'll lose everything, Mom sobbed. Like I lost everything? I walked to the window, watching Starlight graze peacefully. The difference is I rebuilt. I took my pain and turned it into this. I gestured around us. What did you do with yours? Lie? Scheme? Steal? Landon stood up. This isn't fair. Fair? I laughed. Was it fair to sell the one thing keeping your sister sane? Was it fair to watch me suffer while you played start-up prince? The room fell silent except for Mum's quiet sobs. The meeting's over. I pressed the intercom. Security will show you out. You can't do this, Mum whispered. I already have. I gathered my papers. Oh, and Landon, good luck with those federal investigators. I hear they're particularly interested in family finances. I walked out, Stuart beside me, leaving them sitting there broken and desperate, just like they'd left me. They didn't leave. Instead, Mum started wailing louder. Dad paced the conference room, and Landon slammed his fist on the table. You can't just walk away, he shouted after me. I turned slowly. Watch me. This isn't about some horse, he stormed toward me. This is about our family. Your family, I corrected, standing my ground. The one that always put you first. The one that sacrificed everything for your dreams while treating mine like an inconvenience. That's not true. I pulled out my phone, opened my photos. Here's me, age 17, winning state championships. Empty bleachers because everyone was at your pitch meeting. Here's my high school graduation. You all left early for your networking event. Stop it, Mum sobbed. Oh, I'm just getting started. I scrolled through more photos. Here's me after the accident, half my face destroyed. You visited twice in 3 weeks because you were busy with investors. Jolie stepped forward. Daisy, please. And you, I rounded on her. You flinched every time you saw my scars, moved to the other side of the room, but you had no problem using my horse as your perfect wedding prop. I didn't know, she protested. Liar. I pulled up her Instagram. You tagged the stable. You knew exactly where he came from. Dad grabbed my arm. Princess, please, we're about to lose everything. I yanked away from him. Don't touch me, and don't call me princess. You lost that right when you watched me cry myself to sleep for months without saying a word. Stuart appeared in the doorway. Should I call security? No. I walked to my desk and pulled out an old photograph. I want them to see this first. The photo showed me at 16, fresh from the accident. Half my face was bandaged, but you could see me smiling, really smiling, as I leaned against Starlight's neck. This was the first time I felt human again, I said, my voice steady. The first time I believed I might be okay. While you were all tiptoeing around me, avoiding my scars, he pressed his nose right against them. He showed me I was still worthy of love. Mum reached for the photo. I pulled it back. And you sold him, like he meant nothing, like I meant nothing. We were trying to protect you, Mum whispered. Protect me? I laughed bitterly. By lying? By watching me fall apart? That's not protection, Mom. That's cowardice. Landon slumped into a chair. So this is revenge? No. I walked to the window where Starlight still grazed. This is karma. This is what happens when you treat people and animals like they're disposable. The federal investigation, Dad said suddenly. You turned us in. Wrong again, I turned back to them. Your own investors did that. I just made sure I had front row seats for the fallout. You're enjoying this, Jolie accused. Maybe I am. I met her gaze. How's that divorce lawyer working out? She flushed and looked away. Here's what's going to happen, I continued. You're going to leave. All of you. And you're going to remember this moment every time you drive past this facility, every time you see a horse, every time you need money and remember who has it. We're your family. Mom tried one last time. No. I pressed the security button. You're just people who share my DNA. Starlight is my family. Stuart, Rhea, they're my family. They see me, all of me, not just the parts that fit their perfect picture. 2 security guards appeared at the door. Wait! Landon stood up. Just wait. You're right. Everyone froze. What? Mum gasped. She's right. He turned to me. We treated you like shit. We took something precious from you because we thought our needs were more important. I'm sorry. For a moment, I almost wavered. Then I remembered all those nights in the barn, searching for comfort that had been stolen from me. Apology noted, I said coldly. Now get out. As security led them away, I heard Mom's last desperate cry. What will we do? That's not my problem anymore, I called after them. Stuart waited until they were gone before speaking. You okay? I walked to my desk and picked up Starlight's lead rope. I will be. I'm going for a ride. Outside, Starlight nickered as I approached. I pressed my face against his neck, breathing in his familiar scent. We did it, boy, I whispered. We showed them exactly who we are. In the distance, I watched my family's car pull away. They were broken, desperate, afraid, just like I had been. But unlike them, I'd learnt how to rise from the ashes. And this time, I'd done it on my own terms. The autumn air carried the scent of hay and healing as I led my therapy group through their morning session. A young veteran with burned scars across his face was working with Starlight, his hands trembling as he reached up to brush the horse's neck. He doesn't care, does he? The veteran asked softly. About how I look? No, I smiled, touching my own scarred cheek. They see right through to who we really are. Rhea appeared at the arena gate, waving a newspaper. You might want to see this. The headline read, Tech CEO pleads guilty to fraud, family home foreclosed. Your brother took a deal, Rhea said quietly. They're moving in with your cousin Sarah until the sentencing. I handed the paper back. How are the new program applications looking? She grinned. Doubled since last month. We might need to expand again. Stuart won't like that. He just finished the new stable. Stuart's too busy counting profits to complain, she laughed. After the session, I sat in my office completing evaluations when my phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. They're asking about you. Mum and Dad. They seem different. I didn't respond. Instead, I opened my laptop and pulled up the Therapeutic Riding Centre's website. Our success story page was filled with testimonials, before and after photos, stories of triumph over trauma. A knock at my door. Stuart. Mail came, he said, dropping an envelope on my desk. Thought you'd want to see this one yourself. The return address was my parents'. Inside was a handwritten letter. Dear Daisy, we're living with Sarah now. The house is gone. Landon's facing jail time. Jolie left him. Everything we built has crumbled, and we deserve it. We watched your interview in the local paper about the therapy centre, about how horses helped you heal after the accident. We never really understood before. We were too busy chasing the next big thing to see what was right in front of us. We don't expect forgiveness, we don't deserve it, but we're proud of what you've built, of who you've become. Not despite us, but in spite of us. Love, Mum and Dad, P.S. Landon asked us to tell you he's starting therapy. Real therapy this time. I set the letter down as Stuart poured 2 cups of coffee. Thoughts? He asked. They're right about one thing, I said. They don't deserve forgiveness. But maybe that's not the point anymore. I stood and walked to the window. Below, Starlight was teaching another scared soul how to trust again. Look at them all, Stuart. Every person down there has a story like mine. Pain, betrayal, scars inside and out. And they're healing, he nodded, because of what we built here. What if that's the real revenge? I turned to him. Not destroying them, but building something so beautiful from what they broke, Stuart smiled. Now that's the kind of revenge I can get behind. I picked up my phone and typed a response to Sarah. Tell them I saw their letter, and tell them to watch the local news tonight. What's tonight? Stuart asked. The piece about our new Veterans Programme launch. The one where I talk about how personal trauma led me to help others heal. Ah, he grinned, showing them exactly what they missed out on. Exactly! That evening, I sat with Rhea in the barn office, watching the news segment air. There I was, scarred face, proud and visible, talking about transformation and second chances. About how sometimes the worst betrayals lead us to our true purpose. Your parents are definitely watching this, Rhea said. Good! I stood up. I'm going for a ride. Under the setting sun, Starlight and I cantered across the back field. No fear, no shame, no more hiding. The wind caught my hair, and I laughed, a free, wild sound that echoed across the property. My phone buzzed in my pocket, another text from Sarah. They cried through your whole interview. Mum kept saying, that's our girl. I typed back, no, I'm my own girl. Always was. Starlight slowed to a walk, his hooves making soft patterns in the dirt. Below us, lights were coming on in the therapy centre. Tomorrow more broken people would arrive, looking for healing, and we'd be here, ready to show them how to turn their pain into power. My phone buzzed one final time. A text from Landon. You were right, about everything. Thank you for showing me what real strength looks like. I put my phone away without responding and patted Starlight's neck. We didn't need their validation anymore. We had built something bigger than revenge, stronger than betrayal. We had built hope, and that was the sweetest victory of all.